Welcome back to the Astrocast. I'm your host, Drew. Today is Thursday, March 26, 2026. I hope everyone is doing well. We're about 60% into the waxing gibbous moon. It's been pretty nice here in Charlotte, actually. We've had quite a few clear nights. We had like a crazy windy night last week. I didn't know what to make of that. But other than that, it's been pretty good. So I hope you guys have all been well. Got some things to catch you up on today. A few exciting announcements that we have coming as well. So very much looking forward to sharing some of that with you. I guess first little announcement that I have to share with you is that work has begun in earnest on the studio for the Astrocast. So this is something that I have been wanting to do for a very long time and have not been able to do it because I'm always so busy, or I don't have enough time, or I don't have enough money, or this, that, and the third. There's always something that's preventing us from doing the things that we would like to do, as I'm sure I don't need to tell you. But that being said, we were able to actually insulate the garage this weekend, or this past weekend, I should say. And that is kind of step one in making all of this happen, because it gets very, very, very hot in North Carolina, hot and humid in the summer. And you do not want to be hanging out in a super hot and humid garage trying to record podcasts and interview people and set up studio lighting and have an interview couch and just all those sorts of things. You can't do it if you're not comfortable. So I think for me anyway, being comfortable is kind of step one. Once I'm comfortable in the area that I'm working in, then I don't mind working on any number of projects, which I'm always happy to do. So yeah, now that we've got the insulation done, I will say we had to do what's called drill and fill insulation, which basically means that a crew of two guys came in with this really big insulation truck. And they drilled 3.5-inch holes above and below the fire block in the wall. So I've got like 100 3.5-inch holes in my garage now that I'll have to fill. I can handle that. I know how to patch drywall. It's just going to be very tedious. But after that, I will be painting in here and then installing a floor, with the ultimate goal being to, like I say, set up an actual studio for recording. I want to have a couch so I can invite people over to do in-person interviews and all of these sorts of good things. So a lot of cool stuff to come in that regard. I'll keep you guys abreast of the situation. I love saying abreast of the situation as time moves on. I expect, like, with how much I have to do, it's a lot of work, a lot of projects. It'll probably be around fall before I actually have this looking completely different in here. I'm also going to be actually removing the garage door and putting up a brick wall there to match the rest of the house with French doors and a window. So it's a big project, but it's right up my alley. It's just the kind of stuff I like to do. So I am very, very, very excited about that and what it means for the future of the show. Interview-wise, we actually have a couple more interviews coming up, two in particular. I'm working on scheduling one, and I've got the other one already scheduled. Both will be very, very interesting talks, so you have that to look forward to. And what else is there really to do except to look forward to new episodes of the Astrocast now that we're officially in galaxy season? I think I said last week that we weren't really in proper full swing galaxy season yet because Leo wasn't high in the sky. Well, I'm changing my opinion. I think we're properly in galaxy season at this point because I walked outside last night, looked up, and bang, there Leo was right near the meridian. So he's definitely taking front and center stage, just like Orion was not too long ago. So we're back, man. I want to know what you guys are imaging this galaxy season. I hope to obviously I've got the C8. I'm still working on that. I had to kind of put aside some of the purchases that I'm making for the C8 because I'm prepping my refractor for remote use, as I'm sure you guys know. I did make another purchase on that. I actually ended up getting the remote controlled flat panel. So I want to give a shout out to Parrish, a friend of the show who's been on the show many times. He actually reached out to me on Discord and let me know that somebody was selling the Deep Sky Dad flat panel that fits my SQA 55 perfectly. It's the one that's made for the SQA 55. And, lucky for me, the guy only wanted $200 for it. And these things go for $500 or $600 brand new. And it's really in great shape. It's just missing a screw, I think, which obviously is easy to replace. I haven't had a chance to really test it yet, but man, these are really, really cool. They're, automated flat panels. So essentially you put them on the dew shield. So on the very front of the scope, like you would, if you were covering it up with I'm not going to say a lens cap because it goes on the dew shield, but you get the idea. It goes on the front of the scope. And basically underneath it, there is the flat panel. And then there is a servo motor that you can engage and disengage remotely in Nina whenever you want to take your flats. So I will be able to program it to essentially take flats whenever I want. And this is something I kind of struggled with a little bit because I know sky flats are doable. I don't prefer sky flats, but I was willing to, kind of forego spending a whole bunch of money and just using sky flats. But once Parrish found that really good deal on the one made specifically for my scope, I was like, well, this is just kind of a no-brainer. So I went ahead and went for it. I think the only thing that leaves is just a rotator, like I talked about last week. So I still got to decide if I want to do the rotator or not. So I need to bring my scope in. It's been out on the pier because I've been using it whenever I can, obviously. But I need to install the filter wheel and I need to install the flat panel now. So I need to get those two done. And then I need to measure exactly how much backspacing I will have free to me after I install the filter wheel, because, it's a Petsful design refractor. And the beauty of the Petsful design is as long as you can reach focus, you don't need to worry about backspacing requirements. So, if you get 50 millimeters or 58 millimeters, that's fine as long as you can reach focus. And I'm at right about 55 right now, and I indeed can reach focus quite well. So I'm hoping that after I install the new ZWO 5 bay 2-inch filter wheel, that I will have enough spacing left to install the rotator. So I'm going to read up on that a little bit. Like I say, I'm going to get the filter wheel installed first and just kind of see what I'm working with. Man, there's so many little things in astrophotography. I swear it is just the hobby that keeps on giving. And I think that's why I like it so much, because I've always been a tinkerer, and I'm sure many of you listening know what I'm talking about. You just like to tinker with things. And I just, I had no idea when I was getting into this hobby years ago that it would end up being such a, deep part of my life and take up so much of my thought process, where I'm like, I'm constantly thinking about things and how to solve for this. And, should I 3D print that, and, buying an extra part, or heading to the, local hardware store to get some screws because they might work better for my new Lost Mandy dovetail. And, I think I have been training for this moment for 3 years, to run a remote scope with all that we have talked about on the show since the very first episode came out. And it's all been kind of building towards this moment where me and a good friend are, going to be driving all the way out to the desert in Utah. We're going to be just outside of Arches National Park, which is just incredible from all the photos that I've seen. And I'm just like really, really looking forward to that trip. And seeing places in America that I've never seen before, and really like kind of the best skies that you can get in America, and obviously you can debate that whether it's New Mexico or Utah or somewhere else, but very, very, very close to what you could say is the best skies in the Northwestern Hemisphere. The final boss, if you will, for astro travel is going to be the, southern skies, like the Atacama Desert that good friend of the show, Mark, got to visit last year. Or actually, I guess, was it the year before last now? It's been a while, but that's kind of the big boss, if you will. But I am ready to tackle Western skies, man. I've never been so ready. And I guess all I can do at this point is just pray to the astro gods and Captain Cumulus himself that we get clear skies for those nights that we are out there, because man, oh man, I am really looking forward to it. I'm also looking forward to stopping at places on the way. I was thinking about, like, I'm definitely going to bring obviously my telescope and everything that goes with it. Another thing I was thinking about, just to go off on a slight tangent, when I'm traveling with this stuff, do I break it all down or do I keep it together as much as I possibly can? Because when you break down your rig, you just introduce potential problems, where things could go wrong. You put it back together, you forgot a piece, what sort of extra pieces do you bring with you? I got to thinking about that last night, and I said, I literally need to create a document in Google Docs and list out every single component from, OTA to as small as, a single 9-volt cord that's, heating a dew heater or what have you. I need to have all of that listed out. So in the event that something fails and I don't have a backup that's already there, which is a separate topic we're going to talk about, I'll immediately know what it is and how I can replace it. Because, how much would it suck to get right into, the thick of nebula season only to find out that, a USB cord went bad and you don't have an extra line out there for, one of the employees at AstroPeak to swap it out for you, and you got to mail one out and all that. So to that end, and I'll need to ask Nathan about this, because I would love to have a little box beside my pier with all of my extra parts in it. This is a question that I'll have to pose to him, and I'll let you guys know what he says. I'm sure we'll talk to Nathan again at some point soon. I mean, heck, we're coming up on June pretty soon, so it won't be too much longer before we're actually physically there. But we might end up doing another Q&A type session before I actually physically go. But I would like to, like I say, have a little box of extra parts. Cords are the main thing that comes to mind for me. But other things as well, maybe like an extra camera that goes along with all of my gear. If I want to, go from the 2600 to the 585, I could ask them to swap it out for me. Filters, perhaps I, include a second dual narrowband or a second dark filter for whatever reason, in case one of them doesn't work. Well, I don't see how a dark filter could stop working, but you get my point. Having extras is not a bad idea. And if you're going to be remotely operating where you can't just, say, oh, I'll just drive out there tomorrow because it takes 3 days to drive out there. you have to think of these things. So I'm going to make a Google Doc and start documenting it all piece by piece. Probably will be a good time to do it whenever I'm installing the filter wheel this weekend and the Deep Sky Dad flat panel. I want to mention to you guys too, Deep Sky Dad, man, really, really good quality stuff. Not a friend of the show. I've never actually spoken with him, but I've been seeing his stuff for a very long time. And I was thinking about it, and I don't know if I've ever mentioned him on the show before, but his website, I went to go check it out the other day because I wanted to kind of see what the flat panel was. I knew what I was getting, but I wanted to, read about the specs and all that kind of good stuff. So I went and looked it up on his page, and he's actually expanded. From what I think, it looks like he's expanded since I last looked here. He's got all sky cameras now. So if you go in and you want to get an enclosure for an all sky camera, he's got that. He's also got like a pro version of it. He's got autofocuser kits. He's got accessories. He's got it broken down by brand. He's got extra cords for the flat panels if you need those. And it does look like he does like the vast majority of his parts as 3D prints. And I just want to say there's like absolutely nothing wrong with that for the type of things that he is making. Like a flat panel, it just makes sense to, use the housing as a 3D print because, again, he has to make custom fit flat panels for all kinds of different OTAs. And I'm guessing maybe like for the really popular models, like maybe like Red Cats, for example, he probably has a few of those laying around, but I would bet the vast majority of these are, made on demand. So when somebody puts in an order for a particular flat panel or field rotator or what have you, actually creates them on demand. But if you want to check them out, I'll put a link in the show notes. It's deepskydad.com. And it's really affordable stuff too, like comparatively, that is, to what some of the other things are that you'll find on the market, like especially comparing flat panels. He is, by far the most affordable flat panels that I've been able to find. And really, really well made from what I've seen thus far. Like I say, I still haven't hooked it up to my scope yet. I'm gonna hopefully do that this weekend, along with the filter wheel. But definitely check them out at deepskydad.com and let me know what you think. Now then, April 11th and 12th. Where will you be? And that's like 2 weeks away now. So if you're listening to this on Thursday, we're talking 2 weeks and 2 days. So right around the corner. Of course, I'm talking about NEAF 2026, the Northeastern Astronomical Forum. It's the big one. So the imaging conference actually takes place a couple days, and I mean the day before NEAF starts, and the day before that. Will be the imaging conference. I won't be able to make that, unfortunately, as much as I would love to. But I'm very, very excited and happy to be going to NEAF. And I hope to meet a few of you there. So I'm sure some of you guys listening will be going to NEAF, and I will be there both days on Saturday and Sunday, which I believe is the 11th and 12th, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, the 11th and 12th. I've got a little giveaway for Astrocast listeners, so I will have them on me. It's just a little tchotchke, but I want you to have one. So if you see me walking around at NEAF, please come up and say hello. I'll have a beard. I got really long hair, but it'll probably be, put up. I'm going to have on a hat that has an otter in outer space, the Outer Space hat. It's my favorite hat. And I will, of course, have on an Astrocast shirt. So the back of it says, I think it says, if you can read this, please turn off your lights. So if you see that guy walking around, that's me. Definitely walk up and say hello, because I would love to meet some of you guys and shake your hand, say hello, and just chat for a few minutes. I know a few of us in the Discord are going, so I'm very much looking forward to seeing you guys there. I know that the vast majority of like the YouTubers are going to be there, so I definitely hope to say hi to a lot of them. And then obviously I'm going to be doing interviews while I'm there. So I'm going to be bringing a couple of microphones and a couple of cameras, and I'm going to try to get as much info as I can from as many vendors as possible. I'm going to be on the lookout for unique things and new things. So my goal is going to be to find out as much information as possible for all of you guys who are listening and share it with you, whether that be by doing a quick interview on the floor with people that are actually at NEAF, or just getting, a little bit of hands-on time with some of that equipment on the tables and being able to report back on it afterwards. So I do think I'm going to try to do some sort of live stream while I'm there on the floor. It might be on the Facebook page, just because realistically, that's probably the easiest way for me to actually make that happen. I'm not going to do a full OBS setup and a laptop and all that there. I can stream from my phone. I might do it on YouTube as well. I believe I can stream my Facebook and YouTube at the same time. I say all this, follow the Astrocast on Facebook if you haven't already. So that way, if you want to check out any of that live stream, you can do it from there, because I'll probably do that on Saturday night or Saturday daytime, pop in and out as I can, and then obviously save any videos that I get. I'm going to be bringing a couple of wireless lavalier mics that I can slap on. I'm going to have a handheld mic, and then my beautiful wife, Jess, will be accompanying me. So when you see her, make sure you say hello. She'll also have an Astrocast shirt on. She's just much, much less hairy and much, much more pretty than I am. So she's easy to spot. But yeah, man, I am really looking forward to going to NEAF. Like I say, it's something I've always wanted to do, and I'm finally getting to do it. So I was looking at the website, and man, oh man, they've got a lot of vendors that are coming. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. And then obviously there's going to be some really famous speakers that are going to be there. At least 4 astronauts that I've been able to see. The Apollo flight director, Jerry Griffin, is going to be there. Don Pettit, veteran NASA astronaut. Michelle Thaler, astronomer and research assistant. Michelle Thaler is going to be there. Robert Hoot Gibson, NASA astronaut, who's been on 1, 2, 3, 4 of the separate STS missions. 5, I'm sorry. Another NASA astronaut by the name of Anna Fisher. Like I say, the Apollo flight director is going to be there. How cool is that? The Mike Cianelli, he's manager of NASA's Apollo Challenger Columbia lessons, and they're all going to be speaking there. And that's not when you're on the floor looking at the 200 plus different vendors that are going to be there, and it's everyone. Like, when I was looking at the list, I was just laughing, like, my God, if you have heard of something in astronomy, it's going to be there at NEAF. They have everyone from 10 micron mounts to Agena Astro to obviously like ZWO is going to be there. There's going to be a lot of companies you've probably never heard of, which is awesome, because that means we get to see some unique stuff that we haven't seen. All of the smart telescopes will obviously be there. A lot of the dome manufacturers like NextDome, they're one of the really popular ones. They'll be there. Filters, Optilong, Pegasus Astro, Pick Astro is going to be there, friend of the show, who made that app. I've actually, I'm supposed to interview him about Pick Astro. There's so many interviews that I have to do. I know me and him talked about doing it, but haven't done it yet, but we definitely will at some point. One of my favorite publications that I've been reading, God, since I was a teenager, Sky and Telescope magazine, they're going to be there, which is just super duper cool, because like I say, I've been reading them forever. I've got 3 of their books sitting on the back of one of my toilets right now. So yeah, I love Sky and Telescope magazine. Takahashi is going to be there, which is really cool. I've never been able to actually see a Takahashi in person, believe it or not. So it'll be really, really cool to be able to get some hands-on time with them. The building is just huge, 90,000 square feet for the showroom floors. They're going to have workshops. They're doing planetarium shows. I think they're even going to do some solar viewing. If I read correctly, they'll have some like helioscopes set up. So you'll be able to do solar observing while you're there. And that's not even mentioning the imaging conference, which I say is the 9th and the 10th. If you can go early, obviously check out the imaging conference because that's a little bit more tailored and specific to astrophotography. But if you can only go for the weekend, definitely check out NEAF. Even if you can only go for a day, if you're in the Northeast, within a day's drive, definitely go and check it out. And make sure if you see me, you say hi. Like I say, just say hi. I've got 100 of the items that I have to hand out to people. So I hope to give away all 100 of them is my goal. Yeah, man, I'm super stoked about it. Going to be representing the Astrocast up there at NEAF and just hope to get to talk to a whole lot of different companies and vendors and astronomers and just people that are super excited about pushing the industry forward. And who knows, man, maybe we'll even come back with a few new listeners and family members of the Astrocast. So, in other news, we were talking about at the beginning of the show that we are officially in galaxy season. And we all, well, maybe not the first year that you do astrophotography, but if you do it for long enough, you will, of course, run into situations where you're like, what am I going to shoot? Because once you get done shooting Markarian's chain and the Leo triplet, you might kind of find yourself saying, well, what else is there to shoot? And I'm here to tell you that while Markarian's chain and the Leo triplet are absolutely excellent targets to shoot at this time of year, if you get bored, there are some other really cool targets that you can shoot at. And actually, I think it was Kelly who reminded me of the very first target I ever shot as an astrophotographer. She actually got a really great image of it recently, and it is absolutely available and in a great spot if you're in the Northern Hemisphere this time of year. And I am, of course, referring to Bode's Galaxy and the Cigar Nebula, or Cigar Galaxy, rather. So M81 and M82 are their catalog names. They are Messier catalog items. And they're in a really cool spot because they tend to circle around Polaris because they're in Ursa Major. And what's cool about Bodes is, most people have shot Bodes at some point or another. It's a pretty popular target in the springtime. But what a lot of people don't realize after, they take their first shot like I did years ago of Bodes, and maybe you get a little bit deeper into astrophotography and maybe you're used to doing multi-night projects, right? That is when you should go back to M81 and M82 and revisit them and work on capturing that elusive IFN, because there is just really beautiful integrated flux nebula that is available in the same area of Bode's Galaxy and the Cigar. So I would highly encourage you to check it out. I have been able to pick it up at about 10 hours, but it's pretty crunchy at 10 hours. Really, you want to get 20 hours and above. And I know lots of people, like I'm thinking like Justin and Parrish, they probably are like 60 to 100 hours, but it'll start showing up at 10 hours if you're shooting it on, nice clear moonless nights or just repetitively night after night. And really go deep on that. Obviously there are other things that you can shoot during this time of year. The Whirlpool Galaxy is a personal favorite of mine. That would be M51. It's in a really pretty area and it works well at different focal lengths. I think you'll find if you have a smaller sensor camera like a 585, that tends to give you an effective field of view that's a little bit closer. So if you're shooting with something like an 80 millimeter doublet and a 585, the Whirlpool Galaxy looks great. You also have the Needle Galaxy is a really, really cool one that you can get. And it's like an on edge spiral galaxy that's got really, really detailed dust lanes that you're able to pick up if you have, good seeing and transparency and are able to capture a nice sharp image of it. And that's one that I am definitely going to be revisiting. And there's actually quite a few different galaxies in the area. Just below the Needle, there is IC 3571, which is a really, really beautiful small galaxy. It's like a little smudge almost. You wouldn't notice it at first. And then above it and just to the east is NGC 4562, which is another beautiful galaxy. So there's lots of really cool surrounding galaxies in the area of the Needle that I would encourage you to pick up. And then last but not least, the Leo triplet. So the Leo triplet obviously has 3 large galaxies that are in the region, also in the Messier catalog, M95 and M96. They actually show up pretty well on a wide field frame. I'm not going to say you're going to be like super zoomed in on them, but like with my 250 millimeter SQA 55 with a 2600 on it, it's still a really cool photo. And the beauty of this particular region is that there's a really beautiful dust lane that goes through that region where if you pick up enough hours of integration time, you can really get that dust lane to come out. And once you do that, it just becomes a whole different image, in my opinion. So, I would say if you're going to do the Leo triplet, to also pay a great deal of attention to your star color. So, do the UVIR only shots for your stars so you can really nail that color on them, because obviously you can do things like, spectral photo color correction in PixInsight, and that's good and it's great and all, but if you can really nail them yourself on the first try by just making sure that you get a great shot, it just makes all the difference in the final product, in my opinion. If you can really get those beautiful, orange and blue star colors that are in the region, because you have lots of, different colored stars that are in the region. And when you're dealing with something like a galaxy shot with a dust lane, those colors can really make the image pop and just give it a much deeper look than you would otherwise get. So check out Leo. But for me, I'm going to be shooting Bodes and the Cigar because I haven't revisited it in a while. And I've been poking around on Astrobin and seeing some other people's images that are just lovely. And they've really inspired me to revisit that target and see what I can come up with in terms of IFN in the area, which is just such a beautiful thing to capture. Once you get up into that 20+ hour mark, it really, really does start to shine. This would also probably be a good time to remind you guys, if you're going to be shooting galaxies, remember, these are broadband targets. So you don't want to be shooting them with something like a dual narrowband filter. Make sure that you're using broadband. So you can use something like an L Pro, no problem, but you would not want to drop an L Extreme on there, like a dual narrowband filter, because that is going to eliminate a lot of what you are trying to pick up. And if you're going for the IFN, like for example, by Bodes and the cigar, you're going to want to really aim for 10 to 20 hours minimum. And I mean minimum. And when you go to actually process these photos in PixInsight, I would be really careful with your gradient removal and your noise reduction, because just using something like Graxpert alone can really nuke IFN. I didn't really think it was a huge problem until one day I processed one of my images with a lot of dust in the area. And I kind of went through my workflow both with and without doing automatic background extraction and Graxpert and then noise removal. And I was kind of shocked to see how much of a difference it made at the end of the day. Now, obviously, you can do a lot to avoid gradients as much as possible. Making sure that you're in a dark sky area would probably be the best thing that you can do. But obviously things like making sure that you don't have any porch lights on around when you're imaging, because those things do matter and they do show up in your final image for gradients. Like, for example, when I am shooting Leo this year, my neighbor's house, he always has his lights on in the backyard, and there's just nothing I can do about it. So I got to deal. But I can very, very clearly see when I'm imaging those lights showing up as a gradient in my images. And if I go back and look at the logs, I can see as I approach the meridian, they get lesser and lesser. And I mean, you can pretty much just load those images up into the blink tool inside PixInsight and then just hold down the arrow key to quickly move through all of them, as I'm sure many of you have done before. And you can just literally watch as that gradient disappears. So if you have a situation like that, try to minimize it as much as possible. You can even do things like block out that light from the specific area that you're going to be in. Like, I've actually considered maybe putting up a little bit of extra fencing when I am out imaging, like maybe getting some MDF or cardboard that I could put up to block out a little bit of that extra light that's coming over my fence, just to see if I can reduce some of that gradient a little bit, because it doesn't take much to wash out IFN. It's very, very faint dust particles that you're capturing, obviously, and any sort of light pollution can ruin that very quickly. At a minimum, it can make it to where you need to, double your integration time to make it decent. And at worst, it can just completely ruin it and you won't even see it in your image, particularly if you just go through and do like an automatic background extraction or run Graxpert with a strong, strength, and just let it go through and do its thing automatically. It's going to end up removing a ton of that dust. So just pay attention when you're processing your images. If you're going for IFN, pay a lot of attention to things like ABE, Graxpert, and noise reduction, because believe me, they pack a punch when it comes to the final image. One other thing that I'll mention, I think I mentioned it a long time ago, maybe last time it was Galaxy season or maybe the year before that. But since we were talking about like the Leo triplet and really just any of the galactic areas, if you will, in the Leo constellation, like let's say you're on Markarian's chain. That's a really great example. Everybody loves shooting Markarian's chain. It's an absolutely gorgeous set of galaxies located in Leo that is in a really great spot right now to shoot if you'd like to. But what I want to say to you is if you end up doing a nice long integration on the Markarian's chain in Leo, for example, after you finish actually processing that photo, you can actually have two versions of the image. One that is just your, final complete version of the image. And then what I like to do is actually bring it into PixInsight, and then I will go to the script drop down where all the different scripts are, and just scroll down to render. And underneath render, you will actually see an option for annotate image. And this is one of my favorite tools to use, because you can actually go in and customize the annotation settings to your liking. So you can pick whether or not you want to display catalog numbers or just, regular names. You can pick the colors. You can even pick the font that you want it to display in. And what I like to do is, like, let's say that you get a 20-hour integration image on Markarian's chain. Obviously, you're going to get the main chain of galaxies there, but you are also going to pick up like hundreds of other galaxies in that area, just because it's just jam packed with different galaxies. If you turn on the galactic catalog for part of your annotation, then you will be able to actually see the names of all of those galaxies when you annotate the image. And there's something crazy about seeing them all in one place like that, especially when you really start thinking about how tiny that little piece of sky is that you've picked up. And I don't know, I made a whole video about it a couple of years ago on TikTok. It ended up being one of my better videos for sure. I think it had like 500,000 views or something. And I was just showing people, how many galaxies are in one little tiny part of the night sky. And that is indeed, what we see everywhere. Hubble's deep field very famously pointed at a dark part of the sky where, astronomers thought nothing was. And obviously it came back and said there was quite a bit there, just tons and tons and tons of galaxies that we were unaware of. So you can kind of make your own deep field if you like, especially around the Leo area, because it's just so jam packed with galaxies. And another thing I like to do, if I'm, a little bit bored of shooting Markarian's chain or the Leo triplet, what I will do is I will actually open up Stellarium, and I will, scroll to Leo. So I'll actually find Leo and Stellarium and turn on galaxy names, deep space objects, all the little check boxes that you can to give you labels. And then I'll start scrolling around and looking for the little red circles that denote a galaxy is in that area. And I'll just try to find, a different area that I haven't explored yet. And then, pick which galaxies I want to shoot that night. So like, for example, if you're looking at the Leo triplet, if you go just east of there, past, I guess you would say like in Leo's tail, above Denebula, there's like a whole bunch more galaxies right in that area. Let's see, NGC 3686, 3684, 3681. These are other galaxies that I didn't capture yet, but are equally beautiful. And then I can go capture those and, maybe even do a several panel mosaic. That would be a really, really cool idea. Although that might be a little bit trickier, especially with gradients. If you want to get that dust lane that exists in Leo, man, that could be really beautiful if you frame that up right and did like a wide field mosaic. Like I could see myself doing like a 21:9 aspect ratio where you do like, I don't know, 3 overlaid images side by side and then doing a nice big print out of that. Man, that could be just absolutely incredible if you framed it and then had the annotated image right below it. See, these are the kind of things that I think about. And it's not that hard to make happen. Like you can absolutely do that. There are lots of services available that will make those prints for you. And just, man, there's something about, capturing 100 galaxies at the same time that before that time you'd never even seen or heard of before. And then you start wondering, like, I wonder if there are people in those galaxies that are doing the exact same thing to us right now. And that'll very quickly blow your mind if you start going down that rabbit hole in particular. So just a couple of ideas for this galaxy season. Obviously, you've got plenty of time to practice for nebula season, which is right around the corner. In fact, if you're up early right now, you can go ahead and start shooting the Milky Way. So I wanted to go out last Friday, was it? No, not Friday, because I had to do an appointment with my mom. But Saturday, I had planned to get up at 2 a.m., 2 or 3 a.m., and actually drive up to the mountains. So I found an area up in the mountains of North Carolina called Stone Mountain that looks just perfect for a Milky Way shot. And this is another thing that I just love doing whenever I'm planning for what I would call like a mini dark sky trip, which for me entails just waking up really early in the morning and then driving somewhere far away so I can, shoot the Milky Way for a couple of hours before the sun comes up. I love hopping on Google Earth and just searching around and seeing what I can find. So obviously you can always start by locating a really, really dark area in the general vicinity of where it is that you're wanting to go. So let me take you through it. So go to cleardarksky.com and then click on light pollution map. And if you're like me, it'll take you to like a centered up view of the United States. And you'll be drooling looking at all of the dark areas that are in the western half of the continent. But I'm on the eastern half where we don't have many dark areas, sadly, in Charlotte. But then I scroll in deeper and I start looking out west. So I can go north and I can go west within, a reasonable amount of drive. I've yet to go east, which I have definitely thought about because there's an area that I actually found using this exact same method in that area that I haven't gone to yet that I really want to check out because it does look like a really good location. It's actually called Uwharrie National Forest, which is a place I've been many, many, many times before, but not as an astronomer. I have not gone out there and done astrophotography yet. There's actually a place that's called Eagle's Nest Perch. And there's like I don't know if you call it a mountain or not, because it's not in the mountain range. Like it's east of Charlotte, which is, at least 3 hours away from the actual Appalachian Mountains that are the, mountain range in the Carolinas. But anyway, if you get to that Eagle's Nest area, you're in a really solid Bortle 4 and relatively high elevation for the area. But it looks like one of the best spots that you could get to within an hour and a half's drive total from Charlotte. So I'm definitely planning on checking that one out. But in this case, I like looking to the north and to the west because that can take me into the Blue Ridge Mountains, which are just beautiful, beautiful dark skies. And again, high elevation, which makes your, transparency better, seeing better, etc. Anytime you can get the high elevation, it just makes all the difference in the world. So you check out Clear Dark Sky, you find the general vicinity of a dark area that you would like to travel to. And then you go to maps.google.com, right? And you go and find that region that you were looking at. And it's not going to be exact, obviously, and that's okay. It doesn't need to be exact. And then you can start literally looking at the satellite imagery. So there's a button at the bottom where you can change what you're seeing on the map. So if you're only seeing the layers that include street layers, click on layers down there and change it to satellite. And what you'll quickly see is that there are certain areas that don't have a lot of people in them. And those are the ones that you want to aim for. So like in my case, I wanted to find something that was on top of a mountain and gives me a place where I can park and face east or southeast during, 4 to 6 a.m. Obviously, the direction's not going to change throughout the night unless you're in like a rotating restaurant, but I wouldn't really recommend that for astrophotography necessarily. Maybe for a star trail, but we'll talk about that some other time. But yeah, find the good place that's up high, dark, and gives you a clear southeastern view of, wherever it is that you're looking towards, because obviously the Milky Way in this case is going to be in the southeast since we're in the Northern Hemisphere. And, wake up early, 2:00 in the morning. I'm going to drive an hour and a half until I get to the area that I located. And then, if I can get there around 3:30 in the morning, half an hour to set up, right? I'm only bringing a star tracker. So I'm going to bring a move, shoot, move, Canon R5 and a 16 or 14 millimeter lens. That's all I need, and maybe I put it on my adapter that lets me set the camera horizontal. So like if you have a camera cage, for example, or an L bracket that you can screw into your tripod adapter on the back of your camera. And I say that because a lot of people don't think about that until they get out and start shooting, that if you just put your DSLR, mirrorless camera, whatever you have on top of your star tracker, you need to think about, do you want it to be in a horizontal orientation? And, maybe this time of year you do, because the Milky Way is not directly overhead. It's going to be going, horizontally across the early morning sky, and that's what you'll be able to see. So that works out. But as you get towards the middle of summer and the Milky Way is directly overhead, then maybe you want to attach an L bracket. So like pack everything that you need the night before, so that way you don't have to be looking around for your headlamp at 2:30 in the morning, which is not fun for anyone. Trust me, I've been there. And just have your bag waiting for you by the door so you can wake up early and grab a coffee and just hit the road. And I tell you, man, once you get out there and it's, let's say 4:30 in the morning and all you're hearing is click, click, click of your shutter every couple of minutes, you're going to be in paradise, man. There's something really special about that. And then when your eyes adjust and it's nice and dark and you see that Milky Way for the first time of the year, man, oh man, that is indeed a very, very special moment. And I hope that you all get to experience it. And not only because, it's incredible to see the Milky Way under very dark conditions, but like this is a great time of the year to start getting early shots on a row. One of my absolute favorite targets in the summer. You can start shooting it. So get out there, enjoy galaxy season, enjoy early nebula season, wake up super early one morning. You can do without sleep for a few hours one night. I promise you, you will live. But once you shoot the Milky Way for an hour and you get all those images and then you see that first crack of light, and maybe you're out west and you're lucky enough that you actually see zodiacal light on the horizon, and then that very first bird chirps, I promise you, man, your soul is going to be at ease. And right now, with the way things are going in the world, we all need to find ways to put ourselves at ease a little bit more often than we are. I mean, I know I've been worrying a lot lately with everything that we've got going on in the world right now, with war and AI and, the economy, and just everything is just, it's scary right now, right? It is. But luckily for us, we still have the ability for now to get away from it all and enjoy a little bit of darkness. And in a lot of ways, forgive me for sounding corny, but that darkness will bring you the light that you so desperately crave. And I just really, really encourage you all to get out there and do it. I've said it before and I'll say it again, but nothing beats a nice dark sky. Thanks so much for tuning into the Astrocast this week. Please shoot me an email at rue@theastrocast.com. I want to send a very, very special thank you to our newest member of the Astrocast family. That would be Tony. Tony, I know you haven't found your way into the Discord yet. I sent you some new instructions this morning. I hope you're able to find your way in. I know it can be a little bit tricky when you're new to the platform, but we would love to have you. If you would like to join us in the Discord, you can do that at discord.com/the Astrocast. And we would certainly love to have you. So I've been your host, Rue. Thank you so much for tuning into the Astrocast. We will be back next week with an all new episode. And as always, clear skies.
Wednesday evening, the feed goes live. Rue's voice cuts through the dark like a 135. From backyard scopes to mountain peaks, we're all tuned in, no time to sleep. Red dot finders, coma correctors gain. He breaks it down like it's simple, never pain. Comets rising, planets in the frame.